Oh, didn't see you there. Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to the room tour. This has been a long time coming. It was supposed to be coming out around Christmas time and it's a little late as per most of my videos. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and here's the room tour. We'll start the tour by showing off how it would look as you entered my bedroom. So obviously the first thing you see when you get in is obviously the computer desk, but obviously the other thing is all of this space here for Lego and just Lego on its own. So I'll just close the door here. So behind the door is actually a rather unique piece of history, one of only two pieces of history actually left in the entire room. And this here, you've seen it several times on the videos where I'm actually talking to the camera before the move around obviously. But this edge here is probably the most well-known piece of this. And this was actually part of my original model railway as it was, then became a railroad. And it's now just being used as a storage space. So what's on this space and what's behind the door? Well, this shelf actually contains the station I've built from two of the last train station set. I'll put probably put a note on this video saying what number that was. But behind the door is things such as my toothbrush, deodorants and a few other bits and pieces, sort of the personal stuff. And aside from my clothing, that's really the only corner for that sort of stuff. So we've also got set storage on here, the train storage, a few other bits and pieces. There's still quite a lot of stuff that's out of place because of the after effects of the move around. So this has essentially become the dumping ground essentially for some of it. So we've got things such as the Ultra Agents helicopter, which I've partly modified, but I've got stuck on because I like the parts. And we've got a creator set here, the Lighthouse set from 2016, I believe. That's still here. And essentially underneath or behind me is some of the larger set storage. So the Maersk train, the Parisian restaurant, and two of the modulars are actually here behind the door. So as a way to keep them out of the way. So obviously these are all here, but this space in front of you is actually where my bed was. So obviously here would have been my chest of drawers originally, and behind it all the way into the alcove there would have been my bed. So this is obviously changed. This has actually expanded slightly since the last time anyone's actually seen it in any great space, because there's actually been two new units added to this because Aldi's had their units back in. So there's been another 33 drawer added, as well as another 17. So 17 is actually new. I've not actually owned one of those before. So these again are nice additions. They'll be adding in some extra flexibility into the entire part storage. And it's really just a case of it's something new and something interesting. Now obviously you'll have to excuse the weird camera angle. It's actually the only place I could actually get in a decent position to actually video this. So yes, this is the Lego storage as it currently is. So we've got 5 lots of, well 6 actually, of this sort of 33 drawer space. So these contain everything from bits of Technic to wheels, to containers, 2x2 round bricks, animals, gates, panel pieces, fruit, you literally name it and you can probably find most of what you want to know with the exception of minifigs. So obviously this is being used for part storage, specialised element storage as well, and a few other bits and pieces. As I said in the previous bit, these two are actually the new ones. I've not actually used either of them yet, but you can also see some of the other things we've got here for storage. So we've obviously got this little compartment thing that's actually full of utensils and tools and weapons. So all the cots and the castle weapons and that sort of thing are in there. We've also got serving stuff, cutlery, spanners, hammers, you name it. In terms of tools or minifig utility or something like that, you'll probably find it in there. There's also the little ship from the castle theme. That's actually a set one of my brothers owned, so I've really managed to rebuild that. And essentially what's on here is a bit of storage. So we've still got, for example, the bits from the airport shuttle sets from the original town from the 90s. That's slowly being worked on. I'm actually going to do a brand new design of that in Lego Digital Designer, sort of like a updated for the current era. So that's obviously having to have some work done to it, and I haven't actually started that yet. Again, it's on a long laundry list of things I'd like to do, but might not necessarily have the pieces for, or the time and space to actually do properly. Yet another storage bin behind that. This one, I'm actually going to remove this very nice wrapping paper, which the Brickset Secret Santa parcel was actually wrapped in. I haven't yet posted that to the forum. So they've also got another storage bin here. This is actually a purchase from Amazon originally, and I bought it because I needed some more storage space for some of the other elements. Because I literally had filled in all these drawers at one point, and I needed some more element space. So I thought, when Amazon have that, it's 33 drawers. It might not match the others, but at least it'll be more storage than its 33 drawers. So I went and purchased it, and it's okay, but it doesn't match the others. I mean, even the one I got from Lidl matches the Aldi one in terms of the dimensions, at least, not necessarily in the quality of it or that sort of thing, but it does match. So that one's a bit the odd man out, which is why it's on the end on its own. The last thing on here, and you can probably just about see this on the camera, is this, and this is actually a 3-drawer small stack, and that's actually for parts for the brickliner. So that's things such, it's split up into 3 different shelves, if you like, or bins. The top one being elements for the underframe, the roof, and pieces which are just generally loose. So that's for example, plates for the underframe and a few other bits and pieces like that, as well as the specialised bricks, the royal bricks for the underframe, for the aero bits and things like that. It's just essentially a load of loose elements. The one below that, the middle one, is actually full of pieces for bodywork and interior. So it's a load of blue bricks for the actual bodywork, white window frames, doors, minifigs from the original passengers of the original observation car, and a few other bits of pieces. That's all in there. Tables, you name it. If it's an interior bodywork, and even up to the doors and the actual end vestibules or corridor connections, they're all there as well. The bottom one is actually the one which is most complete in terms of what it contains, but also the one which probably needs the most attention, and it's actually just for bogies and complete roof sections. And when I talk about complete roof sections, I actually mean the little pull-out sections I actually make for the roofs, so you can actually see the interior and access it. So it won't contain, for example, the pieces for the end of the units or coaches or cars, whatever you like to call them, which would cover the door frame up, and then also anchoring the entire end of the car onto the main body. They're not actually in there as such, they're actually in part of the bodywork. And again, there's a lot of pieces in there that needs attention. So a lot of the roof sections which are in there are actually still 7 wide, because I don't either have the pieces to make them to the new 8 wide standard, or again, it's just something I've not got around to doing. So again, there's a load of other bits and pieces which are around here. So we've got some parts of sets which are lying about, which need to be broken up and parts redistributed or stuff done to that nature. We've got some pieces of here which need to be moved into proper storage. We've got some of the original Cafe Corner, not Cafe Corner, City Corner, I think it was the set name. One of the original sets from about 2000 and... Ooh, is it going to be pushing me about 2012-ish, I do believe. Probably a bit earlier than that, maybe 2009, 10. That's there. We've got the current version of the Winter Toy Shop, because I wasn't around actually to buy I wasn't into the winter theme when the original was released. So that's there. Got the Fun at the Beach pack, which I still haven't opened yet, from Brick Life all the way back in October. We've got some of the winter sets here, which I purchased on the London trip. So one of those is actually for one of my friends in the lug, because he wasn't able to get one, so that's there. We've also got these Cadbury Minifingers storage bins. The top one's actually empty, but the bottom 2 actually contain trees, because this is a really nice size for them. So, and bushes, so there's not a lot in here, to be honest. It's something I do want to kind of look into and actually fix that. The reason why the top one's missing is that that's actually being used for a bit of a rest for candles on my computer desk, as is. So that's the reason for that. We'll now move on to the shelving right behind me, as I've been filming this bit of the video, and I'll go through the contents of that now. So now we've moved to the shelves at the back here. The first thing you'll notice is that this contains a lot of books and other bits and pieces. So I'm going to work from the bottom up. To the right here you have some of the Lego books I've got, some of the visual novel collections and stuff like that. So we've got, for example, the New 52 Harley Quinn series. I've got compendiums or volumes 1 to 4 of that, so the actual collections of some of the magazines. A few of the bits and pieces, so the Lego Trains book, some magazines from Blocks magazine or as well, and a few other bits and pieces. We've still got some supplies from the original Bottle Railroad, and they're actually there because I haven't got any room for them anywhere else, so they're probably going to get removed soon. The rest of this shelf contains a few other bits and pieces. So we have a box which contained the plushie there from Overwatch, from Bastion's bird, so they're there. To the main thing you obviously you've noticed is that he's got the Christmas train on. That's because I've actually done parts for a review of it and haven't released that yet, so that's something to do. Bits from the blue hoppers I'm building, which was a 1991 set originally, and a few other bits and pieces such as the boxcar. This is an orrery. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that is literally it. It is an orrery. It is a model of the solar system. It's actually a complete version of the partworks that D'Agostini, I think, produced. It is complete in the fact that I have all the issues. It isn't complete in the fact that I'm still haven't applied the last pieces from issue 64, I think it was, which actually completed the model. It's actually a beautiful model, very nicely finished and polished, and despite the fact that it's gathering a fair amount of dust, it is still a very nice model to look at. And it does actually work. This huge base here actually contains a lot of gearing and the motor. So you fit there's actually a little socket under there for a little power supply, and you can fit that in there, and there's actually a variable speed controller and a few other bits and pieces in that little section, so you can actually make the whole thing spin round at a certain speed. Moving on to the next shelf, we've got the computer game section, so Grand Theft Auto 5, Life is Strange, the original collector's edition, and a few other games are there. Obviously that's a smidgen, and I actually mean an actual dot in comparison to all the games I own, either on Origin, Steam, Uplay and things like that. So it's actually a remarkably tiny section of my game library, and a lot of that is there purely because it was a way to get the game originally, so they're there for that. We've got a few other collectibles here as well from popular themes. So we've got Garrus here from Mass Effect. That's actually the only Mass Effect 3 figure I own now. I did own 6 originally, including Mordin, Thane, and Grunt, and a few of the others. But I decided to keep Garrus because Garrus was actually, I believe, a rarer one, or certainly one more in demand. So I've kept him for my own collection. I've also got Deadpool and Black Widow from the Marvel Fact Files special edition of the Partworks. So I have models from that. And then we've got the 2 from the Lego Batman movie Brickheads line. And essentially they're there because they looked good. We've got the Black Pearl. This again is a partwork which I've started and not actually got very far in. I've actually got most of the issues between 1 and 20, and most of them are actually on display. And I have done some of the work to get to the current issue I own, but again, a lot of it is because I was able to get most of the issues between 1 and 12, I think it was, or something like that, in pretty much as they were released. And after that, they became, I wouldn't say hard to get, but more unavailable. And in the end, I sort of went, I've had enough of that, I'll wait and buy them later. So I was able to actually purchase quite a few of the other ones later on. So I think it was about 5 or 6 issues. So I am missing some between 1 and 20. And I haven't actually completed them later ones either, because you're supposed to have painted some of that in a brown colour and also glued on some decking, and if you've done a few other bits and pieces, that's not complete either. Towards the right we've got a few more bits and pieces. So we've got a Star Wars X-Wing. That's actually was a very cheap kit from Con, I think it was, or something like that. We've actually got a poly bag, I want to call it, from the City magazine. Again, that's there purely because I didn't have anywhere else to store it at the time, so I'll actually put that in there for now. We've got a few other bits and pieces at the back. We've got a model from the Star Wars Lego Planet theme, and that's there as a bit of decoration. Now, I've actually got a second one, but I haven't put it out yet, which I used to have on my desk at work originally, I think it was. We've got a few other bits of collectibles up here. So we've got a soldier from Team Fortress 2 for Team Red, the Arkham Knight himself, also known as Jason Todd, spoiler alert, who's actually a former Robin. We've also got Harley Quinn as well in her Arkham Knight guise. And we've also got a claptrap unit from Borderlands 2 when they actually were doing these special edition claptraps. And that is those two shelves. We'll now move up to the next two. I have zoomed the camera in slightly for this section. So on the left is on the third shelf up, effectively. There's just some book storage and some magazine storage there, as well as a magnifying glass, which you actually just as a little stand, and some DVDs about American Railroad. So you've got the Pennsylvania Railroad, New York Central Volume 1, and Classic Steam, all from Green Frog Productions. And with the exception of one of those DVDs, I think it is Classic Steam. I actually watched them entirely. Very good quality, very good dubbing on them as well, because originally they were filmed without any audio recording, so I've been dubbed with that. The rest of them is DVDs and the very small bit of music collection. So we've got things such as Firefly there, CSI, some CSI New York episodes, so that's the entire season 4 up there. The Godfather collection, because that was going cheap in one shop, I think it was at some point. We've actually got the metal plate that was part of the Overwatch pre-order, that's up there as well. We've got a few of the DVDs as well, so the series 1 of Monty Python's Flying Circus, Sucker Punch, the More Files, Hero Season 1, because I bought that when Blockbuster were actually going bust again. And then the rest of it's just my small music collection. Most of my music now is actually purchased through online sites such as Amazon and a few other bits and pieces, so that's why there's not much in that sense. The top shelf actually contains a mixture, about 50-50 of anime and related media, and then the other half of series, because it was an easy way to store it. So moving from left to right, on the left, it's all in alphabetical order. So we've got things such as Attack on Titan, Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, Haruhi Suzumiya, both the original and the Chan versions, where it's the chibi version, Italia, Lucky Star, Mahime, Phantom Requiem for the Phantom, which was I think a nice series. I'm still got to complete it. Summer Wars, Toradora, 5 centimeters per second, and then we got the Blu-rays of Time of Eve, the movie, which was a very nice 6-part series about humanity through the eyes of robotics and a cafe where they could all get together without knowing who was who. Marduk Scramble, the complete version, so we've got volumes 1, 2 and 3, Paprika as well, and then we move on to the sort of like the series one. So we've got Con Man, series 1 in Blu-ray, Iron Sky, which I've still yet to watch, and then we've also got the Thunderbirds 1965 reproduction ones from Records. So originally they were records produced in the 60s to tie in with the Thunderbirds TV series, which were done to Records as audio adventures, and they've actually been recreated in actual episodic format, specifically for that reason. We've got volumes 1 and 2 of Ruby. There was a special promotion where you could get episodes or volumes 1, 2 and 3 for £5 from HMV, and allowed to get 1 and 2, but unfortunately none of them seem to have had 3. So that's a bit of a loss there. You've got Walking with Dinosaurs, again a fantastic series produced by the BBC, and it does show its age, and it's something I wish they'd actually go back to and produce a brand new series with better animations and certainly a lot better texturing. The animation themselves are probably alright on it, but it's the low resolution textures really do show their age on new screens. They've got Thunderbirds as well. The original 1965 Series 1 and the subsequent Series 2 for about 13 episodes. That's complete there. We've got the complete Thunderbirds Argo Season 1. And then beyond that we have Red Dwarf, Star Trek as well, which can finish off that shelf. So a bit of humour and a bit of actual sci-fi as well. The top collectibles, if you like, we have Mari, the illusionist Machinari from Neon Genesis Evangelion. We have Yuki Nagato from Haruhi Suzumiya. We've actually got a Tachikoma and the Major. The Major is actually a unpainted sort of a flesh tony model, and I need to actually paint the Major and finish and actually paint the eyeballs and stuff on the Tachikoma. And then we have Asuka Langley from again Neon Genesis Evangelion. Both of those NG figures were actually purchased from when I went to London Comic Con back in 2012. So they are a little dated, should we say, but nonetheless they are nice models. Moving further along, we have a biplane from the LEGO Adventurers theme, or certainly an adventure theme from the past 5 or so years, I think it was. Then we've got 2 Figmas. The left is Misaka from Attack on Titan, and the right is the Major from Ghost in the Shell. They're a fairly cheap purchase considering they're Figmas, and I've actually got a third one which is actually Eren Yeager, who's still in this box. So that pretty much completes the shelves. The only other thing I will point out is that license plate right at the back. That is a New York license plate from 1941 with a 9mm bullet hole. Just on the top there, just above the X, if you can actually make that out. And that's just a piece of history I picked up from when I was in America in 2012. So that completes these shelves. We'll now pan the camera around to do some more filming from the other side. So now the camera has actually moved back slightly on the Lego tables, we can actually show you this bit. You've probably already seen this from the previous video where I actually showed this off. So these shelves are untouched from that video essentially. All that's happened is that some of the trains which are on here have actually moved down to on top of the unit, which was actually just here. So that bookcase there, aside from my computer desk, is actually one of the things which has moved the least out of everything. So that was actually where this chest of drawers is now. So that's actually just essentially slid forward and then back diagonally into that corner. All down here is pretty much all city sets. There are a few exceptions at the bottom. So we've got the Winter Cottage and the Spider-Man Bridge Battle set, which I was able to get for about £6 the start of last year. At a show. Then obviously because of that free space from the trains moving up there, I've actually put some of the stuff which was on the bookcase at the time back up here, so it was out of the way, ready for the move around. So obviously this chest of drawers was actually at the end of the bed, and it's actually roughly where the camera was now actually. So the bed was obviously here, and that chest of drawers was there. So that was actually, again, that's had not as much movement as other things in the bedroom, but it still has had lots of movement. The other things you'll see around here is a load of sets. The bookcase again is pretty much just full of Lego sets, and underneath the tables, and it's something which I haven't mentioned before, and underneath the tables again it's just set storage. But I have been able to change things around slightly, so there is actually a seat here, which there was a seat on the other one, but it wasn't able to be tucked in as well. But I can actually sit down here and build some sets if I want to, or start working on mocks and stuff, but I can actually work on them here because obviously the computer desk has moved around, so it's something that we'll show off later. But again, this, what you see in front of you, has again had a bit of a change around, but again it's probably not as much as some of the other bits in the room. Penultimately, we actually come around to what I'd call the mess. This is a bit of everything an anything storage. So the storage bricks to the left here actually contain things such as large plates, so anything that's 4 by something, 6 by something, and 8 by something, and the 16 by 16 base plates they were using for the start of foundations and starts of the buildings in the city theme, in the Friends theme, and a few other sets like that. There's a variety of other things now as well, so some castles, some wheel sets, and a few other bits and pieces. The thing I do want to point out is I think it's the grey one, actually contains pieces from Castle. So that's the large preformed corner pieces, the wall pieces, and a few other bits like that. There is actually another box with just Castle stuff in it, loitering somewhere, so I can actually rebuild a Castle set that my brother's owned. But again, it's something that I've not got around to doing, and it's something really I don't have space for, and it's something I really need to kind of make room for in my brother's bedroom and then just slide it in gently. We got some set storage as well, so that's actually the Lego City Airport I did a review on not that long ago, right next to those storage bricks, and there's a few other bits of pieces in there, such as the storage for the 4D bricks modular point Kickstarter stuff. That's in one of the boxes, as well as the VIP set which I got tail end of last year from an order from Lego.com. And the really useful boxes actually contain a variety of things. The bottom one is actually full of base plates, roadways, and actually a raised base plate, which is actually from the castle I've mentioned. That is something where they're literally, and some of them are actually still stored in their polythene wrapping. But a lot of the base plates now are just there, so they're out the way, it's all in one go. They're kind of sorted, but again, it's probably something which could do with a little bit of attention. The next box up actually contains a variety of things, some bricks, some assemblies of things, so and like shopping trolleys and things like that. Some of those are in there. A few other magazine polybags, for example, and a few other bits and pieces. And it's one of the 2 boxes I actually need to sort through at some point because it contains quite a lot of stuff. And then there's a box, I'm not sure actually what it contains, I think it might be empty. And then the top one is actually full of parts for the brickliner, which you've seen in a previous video, admittedly probably empty. So that actually contains the tender, the new 8-wide body for the observation car, which still isn't complete, and some sides from the 7-wide coaches. The top has some pieces from the R2-D2 part work as the freebie, so I think it's the hat and the sort of like diary, and then we've also got some pick-a-brick cups there, which are largely speaking empty. The only one that actually contains stuff is one of the smaller ones that actually contains Friends figures and animals and a few other things like bows and hats from sets which I don't actually need anymore, so they'll probably be going into the Brick Central take a brick, leave a brick box which goes around to their meetups. And that's pretty much the last thing. There's only other one thing to show you, and it's actually behind me, so I'll turn that camera around to show you that off. And lastly, we come to the drawers. The drawers on the left are literally full of Lego. So the top one is full of instructions. There's actually a liftable hatch in the lid. That's full of instructions as well. The next drawer down is full of collectible minifigures and polybags. The drawer below that is full again of certain polybags, certain special box sets, and a few other bits and pieces. And the bottom one is actually full of power functions and electrical bits and pieces, such as 9-volt train speed regulators, for example. The set of drawers on the right, the column, are actually a really useful box set. And they contain a variety of things. The top 2 ones are actually just full of Lego vehicles for 4-wide towns and 6-wide cities, and a few other bits and pieces, such as the Batmobile. The orange drawer actually has the tools I have, so screwdrivers, pliers, tweezers, fiberglass pencils, and a few other bits and pieces, and rules as well. And then the rest of the drawers are a combination of paperwork, so banking stuff, and a few other bits and pieces. So it's all getting a lot more organised than it used to be. So anyway, that's it for the entire tour of the bedroom. I hope you've seen a little bit more in the insight of why things can take a time. But anyway, that's all from me for this video, and I hope I'll see you in the videos coming up soon.